the role of the Speaker to pronounce on what happens in this Parliament requires deliberate judgment. But yet we have here the honorable member saying when that judgment should be made. It's as if, Mr. Speaker, the honorable member thinks that the clerk and the Speaker of this Assembly are simply waiting for frivolous motions which are filed by the honorable member to come to this House and they have nothing else to do. But what about deliberate judgment, Mr. Speaker? How is that to be exercised and made? How is the Speaker to research, to receive advice? How is the clerk to do that? What happens if this is filed the day before Good Friday? What do we mean by 4 days? Do we count weekends? Do we count holidays? Again, Mr. Speaker, the question is, how could one member come and decide, arbitrarily of course, that 4 days is sufficient?
The ability to ask questions ensures we inform, educate the people on key decisions made in this House that impact on the development and future of the same citizens who put us here to represent them, ensuring transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, as a Parliament, we've been an abysmal failure in how we've handled the presentation of motions and the importance of ministers being accountable to the Parliament and the people in terms of a timely response to questions.
The notion of replacing the existing provision with a mandatory requirement for questions and motions to be directly submitted to the Speaker within a 4-day window raises concerns pertaining to efficacy, assumes a critical role in managing parliamentary documentation, ensuring its appropriate dissemination, and maintaining records. Bypassing this well-established process risks sowing confusion, delays, and potential oversights in the handling of questions and motions. Hence, Honorable Speaker, it is of paramount importance to preserve a lucid and effective chain of command to safeguard the integrity of our parliamentary proceedings.
Several questions I put to this Assembly. These questions were submitted before myself and 7 others of my colleagues went on suspension on the 4th of August. These questions were all approved by you, sir, placed on the order paper, and because of my suspension, now tell me, sir, 7 months of my suspension, these questions were not answered until I returned to the National Assembly in February. I had to resubmit these questions. Sir, February to now, Honorable Member Gail Teixeira, listen carefully. February to now, sir, we're now in the month of May. These questions are on the order paper. And then the absence of the ministers not being here today to provide the appropriate responses, I don't know when again we meet in.
You are bringing in amendment to restrict the clerk and the Speaker to 4-day limit on examining the questions. That's what you're doing. You are treating the 2 highest positions in this House as post boxes. We mail it in, they force now to deliver it. That's not how it works. And so unfortunately, I believe that the motion has not been thought out properly. It has not been thought out properly. Unfortunately, when my friend Miss Ferguson speaks about suspension and all her questions had to make, well, it's just like when you do something wrong and you are punished, then you face the consequences. And so in this house, we have to have some discipline. And so if you do something in the Privilege Committee, then at least be humble and recognize that there are consequences.
The motion is simply saying, let us have a timeline. So therefore, at the end of the expiration, the 4th day, the 10th day, the 15th day, somebody could say to the speaker or to the clerk, you haven't responded. And they can check their draft folders and their emails and press send. That's all. So there are timelines, so therefore people can obviously be. So when the timelines come, are hit, something happens. Certainly with open-ended, sir, we suffer the fate in which I did, sir. But that's not the only one, sir. I submitted a motion, a question before. Yes. A question October 18th, 2022 on the Wales gas shore. Of course, I shadowed the oil industry. It took 36 days for approval. This time, sir, it wasn't an issue of no one wanted to press it. It was simply an issue of nothing. Absolutely nothing from the Parliament, absolutely nothing from anyone. And sir, what the reason that we're doing here, the reason we're bringing this motion is we don't fall into these things. They belong to the timeline. Sir, we know you're a busy man. We know the Parliament clerk, of course, they're full-time, so therefore the time constraints here.
These actions are not things that are of sinister motive, as I made mention before. It is simply to have timely, effective, and efficient responses to questions and issues the ordinary citizens of Guyana have and will like them to be answered. And that is all that it seeks to do.